Hey everyone, welcome back. Thanks for joining us. Today we've got a brand new story to share with you. So let's begin. We'd been seeing each other for about 3 weeks when we slept together on our 6th date. She was a 23-year-old senior at State, studying how to make animal food better. I was a 28-year-old grad student, already with 2 degrees in animal medicine and about to get my doctorate. We didn't have classes together, but our interests were close enough that we bumped into each other all the time on campus. We'd actually known each other casually for 2 or 3 years before we started dating. Sarah was striking, tall and slender, dark hair, blue eyes, perfect white teeth, and this air of class mixed with a tough, almost cocky attitude. She was a good 5'10", maybe 140 pounds, with an athletic body that made guys stop and stare. She was a decent student, coasting by with a B average, never pushing herself too hard. Her full name was Sarah Bell, and she liked to hint that her family had some fancy history back in England. I'd sometimes call her Sal to tease her, even though she didn't like it. Me? I was pretty average. 6 feet tall, 175 pounds, sandy brown hair, hazel eyes. Not ugly, but definitely not a looker. I was smart, but not brilliant. No real athletic talent, but not out of shape either. My social skills were okay. I wasn't a total loner. Just a regular guy, nothing special. My grades were a B+, and I had to work for them. But I was almost a vet, which meant a good, stable job, so I wasn't a complete loser, but not exactly the prize either. Looking back, I always had this feeling that Sarah was just passing through my life. Like she knew she could do better than me, but the right guy hadn't shown up yet, so I was just the placeholder boyfriend. She always kept a bit of distance, a wall up. Sometimes, after we'd had good sex, she'd let it down and share real stuff about her life. But it wasn't often, and it never lasted long. She'd pull back and stay distant most of the time. I guess I ignored that little detail and fell for her. Hope's a stubborn thing, right? She was mostly good to me, kind even, and loving sometimes, but she never fully committed. Never gave me her whole heart. Always holding something back, hoping her Prince Charming would ride in and save her from a boring life with someone as ordinary as me. Around my 29th birthday, I was supposed to get a trust fund. My parents died when I was 15 in a really awful way. They were on a fancy cruise for their 20th anniversary when the ship lost power and just drifted in the middle of the ocean for days. By the time help arrived, things were bad. No fresh water, food rotting, sewage everywhere. My parents got some infection and died before they even reached land. I was 15, and they trusted me to stay home alone for those 2 weeks in the summer, with neighbors checking in. My parents weren't rich, but they both worked. They had wills, life insurance, and they'd set up this trust for me, putting in what they could since I was born. It was supposed to mature when I turned 29, and it was a lot of money. The cruise company paid out over $1 million for each of my parents' deaths as part of a huge lawsuit. The court decided the money should go into this trust for me until I was old enough. Since I had no family, a lawyer was appointed to handle the money, and I went to a foster home until I was 18. Regular checks kept me going because the foster parents didn't want the money to stop. I also had their life insurance, savings, and the house was even paid off. But I still had to live in foster care. So, in a few weeks, I was going to get over $3 million. Interest and investments had grown it a lot. Even with living expenses, I was about to be seriously wealthy. But I never told Sarah about any of this. She just knew I got a monthly check that covered my school costs. I must have had some instinct to keep it secret. And because she never gave me her whole heart, I didn't either, even though I loved her and was devoted to her. I dreamed of buying her a beautiful house and a great life with that money. I just never told her. We hung out on weekends and sometimes evenings during our last year of school. We got married after 4 months of dating in a quiet ceremony. There was always stuff to do. Skiing nearby, tons of bars and restaurants in town, farms and ranches we could visit for our studies. We did a lot together. The sex was pretty good, I thought, no complaints from my side. We were married, but only for months. Not enough time for real problems yet. But Sarah always seemed a little annoyed with me. She wasn't ever happy with where things were going. Actually, it was my direction she didn't like. I realized later. One day, we were at a feedlot helping out with our different animal expertise. They'd gotten a delivery of young female cows that were supposed to be not pregnant. But when they unloaded them, 45 of them were pregnant, and some started giving birth right there because of the stress. I was helping the cowboys deliver the calves. The feedlot didn't want the calves, but we had to try and save the mothers because they were expensive. We had to minimize the loss, but we had no way to care for the newborn calves, so they were all stillborn or died that first night. One of the young cows was having a really hard time giving birth. It looked like she couldn't do it on her own, so I had to pull the calf out. With my bare hands, I reached inside this cow who'd been in labor for ages. I grabbed the calf's back feet. It was backwards. Then I pulled with all my strength, one foot on her rear, the other on her thigh. She covered me in shit, and when the calf finally came out, blood and afterbirth sprayed all over me and the back of the cow. I was covered head to toe in blood and manure. The calf was dead anyway. The mother would have died if I hadn't done it. Sarah was in the office when I came in to shower and clean up. She saw me. She looked at my shit and blood-covered face, hands, and clothes. She just shook her head in disgust. As I walked to the men's room, I heard her say to the secretary, "I can do better than this." Sarah left me that weekend. "This isn't going to work, Mark. I just need to keep looking. See who else is out there," she told me. "I love you, but I'm not in love with you. I'm filing for divorce. We don't owe each other anything. Let's just end it." That was it. No tears, no emotion. Just a cold decision. I was stunned, like something out of a bad story. But she'd said it and she was talking to me. I was alone again. I had my millions coming, but money's a poor substitute for someone who loves you back. We went our separate ways. My heart was broken, but I tried not to let her see it. She wasn't dumb, so I'm sure she knew how much it hurt. She just didn't care. Still, I knew trying to hold on to her wouldn't work. If she wasn't happy, she'd never be a good partner. No matter how much I loved her. Takes two. We were just me. Graduation came and went. She got a job with a big food company and moved to a boring town in Kansas. She was going to work in a lab testing animal feed. I got a job as a large animal surgeon at a clinic nearby. It was good money. I'd make a decent salary right away, and it would only grow. But I was lonely. No family, no one close. I was a catch, a rich bachelor. Lots of single women were interested. I went on some dates, but no one special. Sometimes I just needed someone to talk to who wasn't a horse or a cow. My sex life was quiet. I could have slept with someone every night if I wanted. But I didn't. Only now and then I'd spend a night with one of the older women who hung around. It was between Christmas and New Year's, 7 months after graduation and 5 months after the divorce, when there was a late-night knock on my door. I was renting a condo. I was half asleep on the couch, watching TV in my underwear with the heat cranked up. Money for bills wasn't a problem. I wasn't sure I'd heard the knock at first. Then it came again, sharper. I stumbled to the door and opened it without bothering to put on clothes. Standing there in my boxers was Sarah. She looked like she'd been in a fight, beaten and bruised, her right eye swollen shut, both lips split and bleeding. A patch of hair was missing from the top of her head, bleeding where it had been pulled out. Her cheeks were bruised and swollen. She just stood there, dry-eyed, looking at me. "Sarah, for God's sake, what happened? Come in." I gently grabbed her arm, but she winced. It was her. I was so surprised. She wouldn't talk, just sat on my couch with this haunted look. Not crying, not whimpering, just bleeding and hurting. "Were you attacked? Who did this to you, Sarah? What happened? Talk to me, Sal," I said. She only said, "Boyfriend beat me up. He was high." No other words. I guess they'd come back to Colorado for Christmas and things had gone wrong after drugs and alcohol. "I should call the police. This guy needs to go to jail," I said. "No, no police," she shouted. "Okay, no police," I said. I told her I was going to run a bath. Took me a few minutes to get the bath ready. I helped her gently into the bathroom and told her I was going to bathe her. She didn't say anything, didn't resist as I took off her clothes. Her bruised body was there where we used to be intimate. It looked wrong. I got in the tub with her. I sat behind her and started washing her hair. It was bloody where he'd pulled it out, and it must have been sore because she whimpered when the shampoo touched the wound. She had bruises all over her back, shoulders, and arms. I gently washed her, then sat in front of her. Her injuries were horrifying, deep bites and severe bruises. Her skin was broken and bleeding. I could only imagine what she'd been through. I washed her face gently, wiping away blood and dirt. No fresh tears on her face. I washed her arms. She hadn't shaved. I washed her chest and breasts, then her stomach as she lay back between my legs in the tub. I told her I needed to wash her legs and then, down there, she didn't respond. I carefully washed her legs. I looked at her face. She was watching me, silent and distant, no expression. Gently, I lifted her slightly to clean her properly. There were more bruises. I was very careful. When the bath was done, I drained the water and started refilling it with warmer water for her to soak. "Mark, do you have any wine?" she asked. "Sal, it's me, Mark. Look at me." I looked closely at her eyes and saw her pupils were uneven. Concussion. I turned off the water, pulled the plug, and ran for the phone. 3 days later, I picked her up from the hospital. She didn't want her parents to know and asked me to let her stay with me for a few days. She'd call work and say she'd be back late. Right. A few days later, I took her to the airport and put her on a plane back to Kansas. I had to buy her ticket, clothes, toiletries, and give her some cash. She was barely grateful. It was like she expected me to take care of her. It was fine, I could afford it. The real hit was to my heart. I was trying to move on. Why would she come to me like that? She didn't love me. What was she thinking? It seemed like I was just her safety net. A few weeks later, I got a card with a gift card inside. A few words of thanks, not very enthusiastic, but I could tell she was grateful I hadn't called her parents. I wondered if she thought she'd done better than me after all. I never brought it up. My practice was doing well. I was busy with surgeries on horses and cattle. Then, one day, a couple from the state wildlife department showed up. They needed my help with a disease killing the elk herd in the mountains. They were desperate for someone with my surgical skills to do autopsies and maybe even operate on live animals to figure out what was going on and stop it from spreading. I told them my expertise was mostly with farm animals, but surgery was surgery. I'd need to do some research. They were highly recommended and offered to pay well. If they couldn't figure this out, they'd have to kill the whole herd. The phone rang. It was Sarah. "Mark, help me. I'm in trouble. Can you come get me? I'm in some town in Kansas, no car, no money to get back to Kansas. I lost my job anyway, so I need to come back to Colorado. Can you come get me?" It was a long drive. "Is this an emergency, Sal?" I asked. "I'm just broke and can't get back. I'm scared to hitchhike and can't afford a room. Can't you help me, Mark?" I found out where she was and got her a hotel room for a few nights. I told her it would be a few days before I could get there. I was busy. I told the wildlife people I'd help them. We flew to the mountains in their plane. I spent the flight studying elk anatomy. I spent 2 days doing autopsies. With the lab results, I figured out it was a parasite spread through feces in the water. I gave them my advice. They were so grateful they offered me a lot of money. "Tell you what," I said to the director. "Fly me back to my place, then send this plane to Kansas and pick up a passenger. Bring her back here. I'll take half the money you offered." They agreed. I went to sleep. The next thing I knew, someone was pounding on my door. "Mark, it's Sarah. Let me in. Mark." There I was again in my boxers opening the door for Sarah. This time she wasn't beaten, but she was crying hard. She noticed my erection as she came in. "What happened this time, Sal? Can I just come in and stay a while? I'll tell you everything. I just need to know I can stay for a few days and get back on my feet." "I'm not doing well, Mark," she cried. "This will be the last time, Sal. This isn't how I'm going to live my life. You want it out. And you can't keep dragging me back every time you realize you couldn't do better than me." She looked stunned. She remembered saying that. It was a big moment for her back when we were married. It was when I came into that office covered in cow shit and blood that she'd finally decided I wasn't good enough. "Sal, it looks like you can't do better, but you don't seem to get it. So 1 week. You stay 1 week and then you're out. You hear me? Oh, thanks, Mark. I'll find something by then. What happened this time? Anyway, you lost your job. What happened to the guy who beat you up? He lives in Kansas. He tried to get to me when I went back, but I finally called the police. They arrested him. He was dealing drugs, she said. He never got charged with beating me up here in Colorado because all I could prove was that one time. He did hit me in Kansas, but I didn't go to the cops then. Anyway, he's out of my life for good. They raided his place, found all sorts of drugs and guns. It was a big deal. Then, because I was with him, my company fired me. Are you using? I asked. I have a little, but I'm not doing anything now, she answered. Can't get it, can't afford it. Sal, take the room down the hall on the right. 7 days. That's it. Later that night, I felt the bed move. I woke up to her warm body next to me. Felt good. I'd been alone for so long. But this was Sarah. The woman who hurt me, who I didn't trust. The woman who made me feel alone after making me think I had a chance at love. This was the woman who rejected me, now trying to sleep with me. I pulled back the covers, exposing her. I moved away. Knock it off, Sal. I can do better than this. I pushed her out of my room and locked the door. Yep, I could do better and I was going to. I leaned on the door, listening to her sobs. Sarah was gone in 4 days, not 7. I told her not to contact me again. I'm not your backup guy anymore. You're on your own. Leave me out of your life. Go find whatever you think is better than this, but don't involve me in the search again. I told her to talk to her parents. They were the ones who should help her now. She said she wouldn't bother me anymore and left. She left early because she could tell how annoyed I was. My love was gone. My pity had run out. My patience with how she treated me was over. There'd be no more Sarah for me. She was still someone you'd look at twice. Tall, thin, great body, amazing smile. Most guys would do anything to sleep with her. But remember, no matter how good she looks, how hot she is, how she tempts you, there's some guy out there who is sick of her crap. You can do better than that. Thanks for watching. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this story. Drop a comment below. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more intense tales. See you in the next one.